Hello and welcome. I'm so glad that you're here today. So, if you're an adoptive parent and your child's behavior sometimes leave you feeling confused, hurt, or overwhelmed, know that you're not alone. And today, what we're going to dive in is this important response to try and understand the what we call flight, fight, freeze, and fawn responses and how they show up in children, especially children with past trauma histories. So we're going to look at what these responses are, how to spot them in real life, why they are not behavior, and what you can do in the moment as a parent. So grab a coffee, grab a tea, take a deep breath, and let's dive in. If you're new here, welcome. My name is myCaRE&CO. I help Christian adoptive parents navigate the post-adoption season with faith, neuroscience, and connection to move through the trauma, stress, and overwhelm to nurturing home, healing connections, and to walk in the grace and wisdom God provides. And in this channel, I share gentle encouragement, faith-filled wisdom, and trauma-informed tools for adoptive parents walking through the real, the hard, and this beautiful journey. So for this video as well, I have prepared a worksheet to understand these trauma responses that we're going to discuss in today's videos and what to do as a parent. Make sure to grab a copy before you go. It's in the description box below. So let's start. So I think first we're just going to go over what exactly is fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. What are they? So sometimes we might think that they're misbehaviors, but they're not. So they are behaviors, but they are not your child misbehaving. It's a response rooted in the nervous system. So we talk a lot about the nervous system. So the nervous system it's an automatic survival strategy that it just comes up, and children are not doing it on purpose, they're not doing it to be defiant, it just comes up as a stress response. These behaviors that come up are actually designed to keep us safe when we feel threatened. So imagine you're walking in a park and you come across a bear or a snake. Your reaction, a normal reaction, would be that you either fight bear or something, and most of the time you don't do it consciously, like in the moment you're stressed and you just automatically react. So you can either fight it, you can flight by running away, or you can just freeze and play dead. The fawn part, we'll talk about it later because it's a little bit different. So the same situation happens inside your child, and also in the sense your child is having the stress response, which is unconscious, and they are so in your case the threat is real. There's a snake or there's a bear, so the threat is real. You could die because of the bear and the snake. But in our children's cases, what happens is the threat might not be real to us, but to them the body sees it as real, like it's so real that they're going to fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And especially children with past trauma, this is more embedded in their system, and these behaviors come out more. So that's kind of like why we're going to be discussing them today. So let's look at each one of them and give some examples. So the first would be fights. So some of the behaviors that we can see in our children which correspond with fight will be, for example, they would be anything kind of like physical or like they're fighting. So they would be yelling, they could be hitting, throwing things, what we might call defiance, or arguing. So what happens is the child is trying to feel safe by taking control of the situation, and again everything is on a subconscious level, so the child isn't doing this on purpose. Let's go over flight. So flight, as it kind of like self-explanatory, but it's also like they're running away, they're leaving the room, you're having this discussion and they're just storming out of the room. But then they could also be, for example, hiding or avoiding a situation. That's also flight examples. And in this case, the child is trying to escape the danger. The next part is freeze. So freeze is like they're going silent, they're zoning out, they're staring blankly, or they're being completely still. So what's happening is here the child's body, again, subconsciously is saying, if I don't move, I'll be safe. Now, fawn. So fawn looks like people pleasing, apologizing excessively, and trying to fix your emotions or being overly agreeable. So the child is trying to stay safe by keeping others happy. And we see this a lot, especially in children with trauma. They're trying to please people so that they keep themselves safe. Again, so these are not conscious choices. It's like in the moment, it's kind of like we can explain that they're reflexes. And often it's their body reacting to something it remembers as unsafe. So the body remembers this, says, oh, this is an unsafe. What am I going to do? Am I going to fight, flight, freeze, or fawn? So before we move on, I want to speak a little bit more about fawn, because it's the way it shows up can be tricky, and often we miss it. So because this can look like the child is really good, the child is cooperative, helpful, overly affectionate, but underneath, the reason for these behaviors is that they may be feeling scared, anxious, or unsure where they stand. And it is very common in children who have experienced inconsistent care or environments where they had to earn love to be safe. So examples of fawn, like more examples of fawn. So for example, they will say, I'm sorry, please don't be mad. Or I'll be good, I promise. Or are you okay? Did I do something wrong? And on the surface, it might look they're polite, they're being polite, they're being cooperative, but what they're actually doing is, again, subconsciously, they're managing your emotions as the adult so that they protect themselves from any hurt. What's important is that fawn isn't obedience. That's how it looks like on the surface. It's actually survival. Now, what does all this mean for you as a parent? So it's important to remember that your child's nervous system isn't trying to be difficult. It is just trying to be safe. And as parents, we have to not to take the behavior personally, because sometimes we tend to say, oh, they're yelling, they're shouting, they just stormed out of the room, but to understand exactly where the behavior is coming from, and if we see it as a trauma response, we will react differently. So asking, I think, in the moment when this pause and ask and say, what might my child's nervous system be saying right now? And this is a big mindset shift, where instead of what we're asking, like, this is the behavior and how am I going to manage the behavior, instead I'm going to say, okay, my child's nervous system is not safe, and what might it be saying? And then you're going to react to address the nervous system. So you're not addressing the behavior, but you're addressing the nervous system. Once you start understanding this through a trauma lens, you start shifting from reacting to responding with calm, with connection and clarity, and this brings on healing to your child. This doesn't mean that we ignore the harmful behavior. We will address the harmful behavior, like we don't agree with the shouting, we don't agree with the hitting, but that comes afterwards. So in the moment, what does your child need to come back to safety? We're going to do it instead of harsh punishments, instead of unrealistic expectations. We're going to do it with compassion so that we can understand what's happening underneath. So let's go through a simple example. Your child yells or throws something, and instead of jumping straight to a consequence, you pause and think, is this fight mode? So, and then you can respond and you can say, oh, I see you're having a hard time. I'm here. We'll figure it out together. So you see how this would calm your child's nervous system, And then once they're calm, you address the behavior. And again, most probably at this time, everybody's calm and you can address it. So the repair happens in the relationship and not just discipline. So first you're building on that connection and that relationship, and then afterwards you're going to discipline. Sometimes it's hard for us as parents to say, okay, this is a stress response, no consequence, or it's going to be hard. So what can you do in the moment so that you don't get triggered by this? So the first step is to regulate yourself before you respond. Remember that your calm helps calm their chaos. So take a deep breath, lower your voice, step closer, not further away. So you're actually leaning into them. So that's why we don't agree with timeouts, because what happens in timeouts is you're disengaging, you're putting distance. And what the child needs in the moment is they actually need distance because they need your calmness to regulate their own calmness. The next step, which I think would be, is you're going to name it for them. So they're in this fight, fleet, freeze, fawn reaction, and their mind is not thinking. So we call it wise mind. Their wise mind is not thinking. So by naming it for them, you're going to help them understand what's happening for them. They might not understand in the moment, but by saying words to their feelings, it will actually help calm their own nervous system. So you can kind of like say some things like, oh, you're feeling overwhelmed, or it looks like your body is trying to stay safe. It's okay to feel scared, I'm right here. And you don't need to say more, just that, and just be quiet, be silent, and just stay near them. Now they might tell you, go away, go away, go away, and you can step away, but don't leave the room. Say, okay, I'm going to be here, right here. When you need me, call me. Because what happens is, and that takes us down to the next step, will be you co-regulate with them. So you can offer a hug or just sit near. What happens is when you co-regulate, so when their nervous system is high up, they're not able to regulate themselves. So they need someone kind of like to pull them down. So you being a calm, connected, with a calm voice, then you're actually helping them to calm down. If they are in fight or flight and there is physical safety, first ensure physical safety. So if they're, throwing stuff or something like this, make sure that you're safe, but you can still gently guide them through naming what they're going through. Throughout this, while you're exercising this, just be aware of your own nervous system. What is your nervous system saying? Because sometimes what happens is we escalate as well. It's kind of we get triggered by this response and automatically we escalate as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to pause, take deep breaths. You can say a grounding verse. You can even sing a worship song quietly that can settle your body. And this helps you to respond and not to react. So this work is not easy. It's, we just thank God that He is our strength in these moments. Parenting children coming from hard places, from past trauma, makes us lean more into God, because sometimes, the strength that we need is supernatural. So we just know that you don't have to do this alone. A scripture which I like is Psalm 46:1, which says, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. He is with you when you feel helpless. He sees your child, what you cannot see. He sees your child, the inner being of your child, and His grace fills in those gaps when you're running low, when you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed. So I hope this video has equipped you a bit more, or a bit more seen, and I love to hear from you. So drop a comment below and let me know what resonated most. If you're looking for more support on this journey, don't forget to subscribe. and check the description box below for the link to the worksheet, which will help you to kind of like go through what was discussed and have it more in print and maybe practice as you go along. Remember that you're not alone in this, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.